Hi, I'm Michelle. Welcome to Seven Part Harmony, a place where you can celebrate who you are today and increase your love for yourself, others, and God. Hi, I'm Michelle with Seven Part Harmony, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I determined my number one value when I was 7. So I come from a big family. There's 5 of us, and my next oldest sibling is 6 years older than me, but my oldest sibling is 19 years older than me. So as a young child, I was privy to very adult conversations. And as you can imagine, I come from a verbal family, and they were very interesting conversations. One day, my oldest brother, Stephen, was visiting, and for some reason, they started talking about values and all the different kinds of values that there were. And it seemed to me as a child that they thought it was really important that each person knew what their number one value was in life. As the conversation went on, it even got passionate. And at times it even got heated. So when it was all done, I went downstairs to my room. And I'm thinking, I wonder what my number one value should be. And I thought about a few things that I had heard them talk about, like kindness or honesty. But they both seemed so important. I just didn't know what to do. I had this feeling like what they were talking about was really important. And even though I could never at that age get a word in edgewise, I felt like I could participate just by deciding myself what my number one value should be. But I just didn't know what it should be. So I decided to kneel down and pray. And so I did. And I explained the situation. I explained about the conversation with my siblings. I explained my desire to come up with what mine should be. And I had an inspired thought. And it sounded in my head like this: Michelle, you know what a scaredy cat you are. You know, if your number one value is not courage, it isn't really going to matter what else you decide it should be. I want you to know that I think that that was the first moment that I realized that God was brilliant. That He could take this question that I had as a little girl, and that He cared enough about me and knew me. What a scaredy cat I was. Like, I really was. I was a person who would come up, and if it was nighttime, I would walk so that my back stayed against the wall all the way till I hit people. So I really was scared of my own shadow. And God knew it. Not only was I scared of my own shadow, I was scared to say a word. I would think of something to say, and then I would try and play it over in my head, and then I'd be like, that is stupid. You should not speak. And so I almost never spoke. So this moment changed my life in a couple ways. Number one, it helped me to know that God knew me, that He cared about me even though I was a little girl. And His answer was so simple, maybe even obvious, but it made me feel that I could trust Him with anything. and that He would be able to communicate the answer to me in a language or in a way that I could understand and do something with. Remember, you are what you stand for. So later, when I was doing my master's program, they had us do an exercise. It was called the PPE. It was a list of values, like so many values, things I'd never even considered as a value before. They taught us that when you are a counselor, your clients will only go as far in terms of honesty, exploration, courage, and values of all kinds. They will only go as far as you go. So they encouraged us to go in, rate ourselves on all these different values, make goals and say, hey, I'd like to work on increasing this value in my life or this value. So what is your number one value? We all have them. Sometimes we don't realize we have them. It might be fun to take a look and say, oh, I love this value. Or, oh, I did not know that was my value. I think I would wish it was a different value. So I'm going to make a link at the bottom for that PPE, and it'll give you some ideas about how you can go in and consider some values that maybe you have never thought of before. As you go through this exercise, you don't have to do this alone. God knows everything about values, and He will share with you and help you evaluate what your number one value should be. Even little girls receive divine inspiration from God, and you can too. Remember that therapy, counseling, and coaching are vital tools to help you live a more fulfilling and harmonious life. Click below to get more information on coaching. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Your Number One Value.